Okay, what I missed other fields related to log modifier row is I said during modification the flow. I explained previous videos where how data modification is doing by the DB engine. It is getting the data from access layer, okay, through access method from the buffer pool. After getting the data, what it is doing, it need to do updation. So before updation, what it is doing, it is getting the log of the respective table. Which log it is getting? Intent, extend, exclusive log. After getting that log for the respective table, then how many pages that data we are means the data we are modifying changes. For that pages we are extracting the we are getting the intent log, exclusive log. For intent exclusive log, after getting intent exclusive log for the table and page, then we are getting the updation log for the respective row. How many rows are there, the data will affect. For that row we are getting the updation log. So for overall we are getting these how many logs, means intent exclusive and exclusive or updation. These logs whatever getting, in order to do operation, that log record data also we are storing in a record block. That means almost all things whatever doing for the operation will be available in log record. Okay, and next uh, okay, other than modify, other DML operation records are, sorry, not only DML, other record types are log insert row, delete row, modify row, format the page, beginning of the transaction, committing of the transaction, finally or aborting of the transaction. For indexes also some record types are there. Okay, but I said that logs are required. Okay, mostly you observe logs wherever DML operation is doing, like log log insert row is doing insert operation. At that time record type is log insert row, record type is created. For that log insert row record type, log field is present. Okay, log field, which log and okay, this type is present. Now for insert, after that for delete row, log record type of delete type, their delete operation also log related field is present. And for modify, I said log related field also present. But for transaction there is no such a thing related to logs. And like begin transaction record type, commit transaction record type, abort transaction record type, for those record type there is no logs related to information is there. Okay, not every log for record affects user data row or pages. Some records like transaction end, start, allocation of the page doesn't require any row level logs. SQL Server want to minimize the size of log records, so log bitmaps are only added when absolutely needed. Okay, this is the thing I observe some fields. And next thing is okay, one thing I forgot to explain. Those log those logs are there, log record data object. This is the log record data update. It is stored in hard disk. That means for this log record which is stored in hard disk, so these log records whatever data like current, SLN, previous, lesson, length, content, type, etc. These all data will be converted into hexadecimal encoding. Then after converting, because we are storing in where we are storing in a hard disk, so we converted this object into hexadecimal and data, and that hexadecimal data will be stored in blocks. Okay, so this is the main thing. Whatever, because we are storing in hard disk, hard disks we cannot able to store object, we are storing in bytes, but that bytes we are compress. Maybe what are the benefits I need to check later, but it is stored in hexadecimal format of all things like LSN number, previous LSN number. Main hexadecimal is what is the content. Main data is changing, remaining maybe it is stored in bytes only. Length and type, those are all stored in bytes only, but the actual core content is there, data which is doing modification. For that data, the byte whatever available to that byte, it is converted into hexadecimal. Okay, now just we'll cover, we have different types of records are there. For each record, processing doing different operation. Okay, mm, okay, we'll cover later for each record type what are the fields are there, and for what I actually cover for modification, data modification record type, what are the fields which are required for the data modification, it is stored in the log record. Other than the data modification, we have different record types are there. For each record type, it is doing their operation. To that operation, it need type, required fields. So it will be, I will cover later for each record type. Now just like as how I cover for modification record type, I just cover for one another record type, transaction record type. Then for remaining we will discuss remaining other than transaction, remaining other record type we will discuss later. Okay, in transaction record, if whenever transaction is happened, it require minimum 3 records. One is begin transaction and last is abort transaction, either or success commit transaction, either any one of the two, either commit transaction or abort transaction record type is there. And in the middle, minimum one operation it is doing, either it is adding, doing any operation, it is minimum one operation. For that operation there will be one record, minimum one record. Okay, more than one record is also there. So minimum it need, whenever transaction is happening, minimum it need 3 records. Then after then okay, the main thing is in transaction, whatever suppose we have begin transaction record is there. For that begin transaction record, it store what is the ID, which is uniquely identified for all record type which are belonging to which transaction. There is transaction ID. Next, what is the name you are running the transaction, uh, either system defined transaction, we explicitly create a transaction, or implicit user defined transaction, at what time transaction is started. Okay, what is the session ID that started a transaction, who is which section we have in a current, means actually sessions are parallelly execution or concurrent executions are happening to the transaction manager. So which thread you are executing the respective transaction, those details available session. And in session, what is the unique session ID, and if user is user, what is the user ID which is executing the particular transaction, and to which database it is executing. Okay, and one second. Okay, next, begin offset, log offset, where this record begin, where this record end, previous LSN number always null for log begin X transaction record type, since it is the first log record type. Okay, the fields whatever require for begin transaction are, first it contains unique ID of the transaction. Then after, the transaction is implicit transaction or explicit transaction, and the time which it is executing, and the server, the which thread it is executing, means user ID, which user ID or session ID, which session it is execution, because transaction log manager is running parallel concurrently multiple transaction by threads. Okay, which one it is by thread or task, exactly there is how isolation is happening, no idea, but uniquely identified based on the session ID. Then it is belonging to which database, and additional description like and some description of there that will be optional maybe. Okay, these are the fields. First, in order to know the fields, we need to know the what is the operation and how the operation is working. From that operation, what are the core fields are required, we are storing some field for moving from forward to backward, some field for core operation, some field for filtration purpose, some fields are actual data, like this. The field whatever I said for the log transaction start record type, the same fields available for the transaction log end type. End types what we said, either commit transaction log record type or and abort transaction record type. Okay, linking of the log record in transaction using the LSN number has a pointer to previous to the forward, both is there. Mostly backward is there toward backward traversion, and transaction ID whatever available for the begin transaction and commit transaction is, and between those two transactions some other operation is happening, for those all having same transaction ID. And the other record type other than transaction doesn't contain any transaction ID, like PFS change, IAM page, bitmap, differential bitmap, okay, etc. For these all record type we didn't have transaction ID. Okay, as of now we other of type you need to check later, other types whatever record type. Just now how I cover for modification data record type and transaction data record type, we have multiple, more than I said, I think more than 8 or 10 record types are there. You just see each record type, what is the working operation of that record type when it is using. From that working operation, what are the core fields it is recording in log record, you need to check one time. Okay,